Okay, now to begin with, we are going to play a role, or we are going to have a role play as such, you can say. Okay, I would launch a poll and you are going to answer for this question. What this question, let me first clarify you. Okay, so all of you are going to be in employees' shoes, irrespective of your current status. In case, let's say, you have a clinic owner or any into academicians or whatever, in different these things. But please put yourself into a salaried employee now. Okay, you are going to play a role. You are going to play a role of a salaried employee, and you are going to inform your salary expectation as an employee. Okay, though you are an employer, doesn't matter, but this is a role play that we are going to have for this moment. And I am going to launch a poll now, where you are going to answer that what is the salary expectation as an employee you have for an 8-hour job. Okay, it could be in hospital, it could be in a clinic, or it could be in anything. Okay, so I'm going to launch the first question. Okay, I have launched a poll wherein, as a salaried employee, what is your salary expectation? Okay, so there is an 5 to 6 ranges that are being mentioned, which says 0 to 20,000, 21 to 40,000, 41 to 60,000, 61 to 80,000, 81 to 1 lakh, and over 1 lakh as such. Okay, so I have received 5 responses as of now. So kindly, participate quickly in the poll so that we can go ahead, because we have lot of contents today, guys. Okay, 8 of 10. Another 2 people, please vote your. Fine, 1 minute is over, so I'm ending this poll, and now I'm sharing the results as such. Okay, okay, you are able to see the screen, guys. So 50%, or there are 10 people attended this course at this point now, this at this time now. Okay, plus there are also going to be the people who are going to see this recording. So when you are seeing this recording, ensure that you also vote, and you also have certain figure in your mind, and accordingly see the next what happens. Okay, just don't see this, but vote at least in your mind that have this. Yes, I wanted this. Okay, fine. So 50% of the people have said over 1 lakh is their expectation of the salary. Okay, then 13% is about 81,000 to 1 lakh, and 30% each, you can say 61 to 80 and 41 to 60. So only one percentage, or sorry, only 1%, or okay, let's say only 13%. Okay, 13% of the participants are expecting between 0 to 20,000. Fine. And for the rest, that is about 50, 63, 76, and 80, almost 87. Okay, 100 minus 13, it becomes 87%, are expecting somewhere between 41,000 to over 1 lakh as well. In fact, 50% people are expecting over 1 lakh. I'm not saying this is something less or something more or something. Then let's talk about that latter. Okay, absolutely no worries. In fact, whatever the answers that you have given is absolutely right, considering your own expenses, considering probably the area where you are living and all those things. It's a decent expectation. I'm not saying anything is this thing over here. Okay, now you have observed that 80%, in fact 50% is above 1 lakh. Okay, 39% is between 41 to 1 lakh, you can say. Okay, and the only 13%, that is 1% out of 8, has mentioned between 0 to 20,000. Now let's move ahead. Okay, stop sharing the results. Now I'm launching a second question. Okay, so now you are going to step into, now the role play has been changed. Okay, earlier you were an employee, now you are going to be an employer. Irrespective of you are, even though you are not, you don't have a clinic, do participate. Okay, you are now an owner. Okay, and now you are going to hire an employee for your clinic for providing your services. And now how much salary you are going to offer to them. Okay, so this is my second question to you guys. I'm launching a poll. Okay, now you can start voting. Okay, as an employer, how much salary you can offer? Not don't consider the pandemic period. Okay, you can consider prior to pandemic. Okay, no problem. Okay, so how much salary you can offer to your employee, considering you are as an employer now. Okay, you are in the position of an employer. Okay, so 3 people have answered so far, 4 people have answered, 5 people have answered, 6 have answered. Please go ahead, guys. We have a lot of contents today and we have to, go fast. Another 4 guys, can you please quickly answer your to this poll? 7 of you have answered. Don't think, whatever that comes to your mind first, you answer. Okay, it's nothing, to be think too much on that. But yes, be genuine to your answers so that we are able to conclude it in a better way as such. Okay. So 7 out of 10 have answered. 3 people may not be sure. No problem. Okay. So I'm just ending my poll over here. And now I'm sharing the results to you guys. Okay. So now if you see that almost 30 percentage were saying 0 to 20,000 rupees. Okay. And 43 percentage of the people are saying 21,000 to 40,000. And only 29%, that is a 30 percentage of the people are saying 80,000 to 1 lakh. Okay. So if you compare this result with the poll 1, the question 1, okay, if you had seen there, 87% of the people, 87% of people had mentioned that their expectation as a salaried employee is over 40,000. In fact, 50% were over 1 lakh, right? Now 43 plus 29, let's say 40 plus 30 is 70, and this is 72% plus 3. Okay, 2. Okay, 72%. Now 72% are saying between 0 to 40,000, right? 70% is saying that is below 40,000, whereas the expectation earlier of 80% were above 40,000. So the people were same, right? You only people once were a employee and now you are an employer. So what is that mindset which has changed altogether the moment you become an employer, right? If you see, the moment you become an employer, you can even chart, okay, what is it that made you to immediately reduce the salary because you are the same person. It's only that the role has changed. The kind of expectation that you have when you are on receiving side, and the kind of expectation or basically offering that you can provide when you are at a giver side, it varies. It varied drastically, if you see, right? 80 percentage above 40,000 expectation, but it completely reversed. Okay, so nothing wrong as such. Okay, let me stop this share results so that I'll close this. Okay, so any comments that you want to give? Why is it that basically you reduced your offering? Any one comment, any one reason? Come on, quick. There is nothing wrong here. In fact, absolutely no wrong thing. Okay, what you have done is what is being done right. I mean that is what is going on actually, and I will say none of you are wrong here. Absolutely no wrong thing over here. Okay, I'll just in my next slide or this slide itself, I'm going to explain you what is it that happened. Sushma says, if I get 1 lakh plus, I can give 20 to 40 salary, not much than that. Absolutely. If I get 1 lakh plus, I can give. Yeah. So what you are saying is, if you are as a clinical employer, if you are able to generate 1 lakh rupees, okay, then you are going to offer 20 to 40K salary. Is absolutely fine. It's absolutely perfect. Okay, so Rakshita says, when we become an employer, other expenses also came into picture. Exactly, Rakshita. Okay, so this is what happens, guys. This is what happens. In fact, when there is another chat, experience and work role and timings of employee, whatever, guys, Sandeep, in fact, you can consider, let's say 10 years of experience, 20 years of an experience, and see, I'm talking about a physiotherapist role over here. Okay, I'm not talking about anything over here. Okay, when it comes to physiotherapist role, probably you can say physiotherapist, okay, or senior physiotherapist, or probably it depends. Okay, so I'm not differentiating on that part. You could have taken a normal these things, not a problem. And timing, as I mentioned, for 8 hours. Okay, that is a one shift I'm talking about. Okay, because see, I'm going to come to that point as well now. Okay, no problem. What you are saying is also right. Fine. So what happened is, when you became an employer, okay, you came to a position where you cannot do things wrong. You have to act very responsibly, because it is a commitment that you have to give to your employee, so that both are at a win-win situation. And that's how business basically is being taken place. See, unconsciously you will become aware that what all the things basically that comes into picture. Okay, but at the same time, when you are an employee, see, there is nothing wrong and nothing this thing. Okay, because as an employee, he always sees that about his expenses. That means, probably he could have calculated his EMI or the rent, or you can say, guys, can you please mute yourself, whosoever. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So when you are an employee, you always think about your expenses part. Okay, and that's how it has to be done as well. And based on that itself, usually they would quote their price, or they would quote their expectation, right? So probably, it could be your month salary, it could be probably your dependency, probably it could be your policies, it could be, anything. Okay, it could be your children fees, it could be your, where you are living. In fact, it's a tier 1 city, tier 2 cities, and what value you can add. Okay, you're going to consider all this and then you quote, right? But when you are at an employer side, so the business part, right? That in my clinic or in my hospital or whatever, in that particular, see, you can say a clinic or an department of physiotherapy in hospital. Okay, so let's say consider them as a profit center. The profit center, it's a unit. Okay, so that how much you are currently generating your revenue, right? So when you are generating X amount of a revenue, then what part of that X will go towards your employee as a salary or compensation? Okay, is a normal business behavior or business concept that anybody does. Okay, for that it doesn't require any kind of a rocket science, or it doesn't require any kind of an MBA graduation, or for that matter it doesn't require any kind of a business sense. It's a very, very common sense that, just like Sushma has rightly pointed out, if I generate 1 lakh, then I would probably give 20 to 40k, because she knows that out of that 1 lakh rupees, okay, I have to bear the rent, I have to bear the salary, I have to bear the other expenses, probably marketing, probably the maid, probably electricity, and the investment that I have made on the units, okay, where probably your EMI is going. And most important is you have taken a risk, right? So when you have taken a risk, when you have put in a lot of money, when you have put in an unit and you are running a clinic, so all the risk, be it a loss or a profit, so you yourself is going to take the responsibility, right? So it is usually a business concept that if you take more risk, then your returns should also be more. What exactly Sushma has pointed out is rightly, let's say अगर 1 लाख रुपए generate किया तो 20,000 to 40,000 rupees उसमें जाएगा, और probably 20,000 rupees अलग में जाएगा. So I need a major portion. Is anybody that would, otherwise फिर business करने का मतलब क्या होता है, right? Rather it is better that one can go for a salaried and can get more than what probably the owner is earning. But that is not true, right? Always the person who has taken a risk expects a more return out of the investment that he has made. Okay, so what basically that took place in your mind is this: if you take any even today a tier 2 city, okay, tier 1 probably it could cost more again, okay, but let's assume a fair decent you can say around 250 to 300 square area of a clinic in tier 1, tier 2 in a residential colonies. Okay, I'm not talking about residential uh, uh, you can say the houses, but residential areas where you are going to take a commercial space. Okay, so would cost you somewhere between 25,000 to 30,000 rupees. Plus you have an electricity bill, plus you have the listings or marketings that you wanted to do, you carry out, and probably a maid, probably miscellaneous, whatever the charges you have. You would end up between 35 to 40,000 rupees in this, plus the salary that you are going to give to your employee. So that is the reason the first question was, what is the salary do you expect? Now let's say there are people who have mentioned over 1 lakh. Okay, so what is going to be added over here? That is a 1 lakh salary. So the total cost become 1,35,000 rupees. Suppose if the salary that you are offering is 80,000 rupees, then 80,000 plus 35,000 rupees, then it becomes 1 lakh or 1,05,000, whatever exactly. So 60k किया तो about 1 lakh हो जाएगा. अगर 40k किया तो ये 75K हो जाएगा, अगर 20K किया तो ये हो जाएगा 55,000 rupees. So depending on that, because you know your business well, the employer doesn't know before joining, he doesn't know what's kind of a revenue that you are generating. So he just quotes as per his expenses. And I'll tell you how this is creating a sort of a myth also, you can say, or a so-called a wrong assumption also, you can say. Okay, so you have understood that operation cost is about 35 plus whatever the salary you are giving. So the moment the role has changed, now you said 35,000 to 40,000 rupees मेरा operational cost हो जाएगा, और मैं अपने फिजियो को around 20,000 rupees दूंगा, तो 60,000 हो जाएगा, और मेरा कुछ 1 लाख rupees का revenue है, तो 1 lakh minus 60,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees, अच्छा ये मेरे को चलेगा, okay चलेगा, ठीक है. So that's how you calculate, and that's how you arrived at figure, and that's how you are able to participate in the poll, and that's a perfect way of doing a business. So does it require any kind of an MBA or a huge business knowledge or a huge commerce knowledge to arrive at this small figures? If you are if you have even a if you have practiced in clinic, or if you have your own clinic, it's a very simple that one can come to this conclusion. But the people who are a fresher probably, or even the experienced, whose expectation is something, it's absolutely no wrong. You may expect, okay, that is what is in fact the cost of living probably in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Okay, no wrong thing in expectation, but whether the person is affordable enough to give that salary is one. Secondly, whether you are able to contribute to the organization in such a way that they give you this salary is the thought that one needs to think before asking as such, right? Because see, it's a human effort, right? When it comes to physiotherapy, it's a human effort. Okay, and when it comes to human effort, it has certain physical limitations, in the sense, let's say you can treat maximum of 20 patients a day, assumption. Okay, quality treatment I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just applying an machine treatment and discharging, machine treatment and discharging for 5 minutes. No, not that. I'll also come to the next part. Okay, where what is quality treatment and all those things. And you have also seen in the first 2 days, okay, what is the quality treatment we are talking about. Plus the entire L2 itself is about it is around 50 to 60% goes into a quality treatment of this thing itself. Okay, fine. So I'm talking about as a human effort has certain limitations. Let's say you are able to 20 patients, then ultimately it leads you to your contribution. हाँ, मैं 20 तो कर सकता हूँ, but क्या वहां पे 20 patients आते हैं? Who knows this? Owner knows this. Like Sandeep said, okay, depending on the role that you are going to hire, depending on the value that he has had, fine, everything is fine. But अगर उसके पास limited patients है, तो hiring even a person overqualified, I would say, even then there is a certain limitation कि वो कितना कर पाएगा. ठीक है. So we will also come to next session. I mean, this session itself, in the next slides, few slides, you'll come to know what is the revenue generation that has what is a potential revenue generation that basically can take place. We'll do that. But I want you to understand कि because of this gap in the expectation, I won't say unrealistic gap, okay, but the gap in the expectation between an employee and an employer, there is not enough employment being generated. Because अगर देखो, आप ही देख लो ना, अभी अगर कोई बंदा 1 लाख रुपए 1 लाख रुपए ऑफर कर रहा है, 1 लाख रुपए एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा है, द पर्सन हु कैन उसका इंटरव्यू हुआ है, उसने लिया हुआ है, अगर वो 20,000 रुपए दे सकता है, So do you think he will be able to negotiate with the person? He will not, because अगर 20 का 25 है, अगर 25 को अगर 20 करना है तो नेगोशिएशन होता है. But अगर 1 lakh and 20,000 rupees, it becomes a huge difference. Or probably even 40,000 rupees expectation employee का है और आप उनको 20 offer कर सकते हो, तो he doesn't negotiate. The employer doesn't negotiate because he also has certain level of business sense and plus the business ethics plus the self dignity. अगर मैं उसको बोलूंगा 20, वो probably ना बोलेगा और कुछ ना कुछ बोल के चला जाएगा. उससे अच्छा है कि मैं ऑफर ही ना करूं. तो what he will do, he will probably interview 10 candidates and उसमें जिसका एक्सपेक्टेशन मैच होगा, जैसे कि अगर अभी हम लोगों ने जो फर्स्ट मैंने पूछा था कि आपका सैलरी एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है, देयर वाज ओनली वन पर्सन who said between 0 to 20,000 rupees. So what he does, he will hire that person and he becomes employable. Whereas the other 80% of the people who, though probably having the skill sets, though probably having the qualification, though probably are equally competitive, becomes unemployed. And this gap, this outrage, basically you can say, this difference, you can say, what happens, it converts into an outrage of an employee. It basically converts into frustration. It basically converts into an यार इस फील्ड में कुछ ही नहीं है, इस फील्ड में ये है, इसमें फील्ड में वो है, या इसमें पैसा नहीं मिलता है. बट क्या आपने जानने की कोशिश की कि अगर आपका 1 लाख रुपए एक्सपेक्टेशन है तो क्या मैं एम्प्लॉयर को 10 लाख रुपए कमा के दे सकता हूं? भले आप कमाने के लायक हो, बट क्या वहां पे इनफ ये आता है, पेशेंस फ्लो है? So what employee says that is none of my responsibility. He's very, very clear. That is none of my responsibility. That doesn't fall on my role. What he says, मेरा काम है आप पेशेंट ला के दो, मैं करूंगा. Right? But ओनर को पता रहता है ना कि what is his effort he can put, what is his patient flow and how much he can probably earn. So that is the reason, in spite of having all the skill sets, all the necessary these things, you become unemployed. And only those will get a job where the expectation of an employee and an employer matches, and then the further association between both of them takes place. And the rest of us starts or keeps complaining, and even they do not know why they are getting rejected. So me being an employer for the last 12 years have experienced this a lot of times. Okay, we have interviewed over 5,000 candidates. And where they fail is, somewhere here or the other part as well. I'm not saying no, okay, but we need to keep this in mind. And what it leads to is this. Okay, increased unemployment in spite of having job opportunities. Job opportunities नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है. Because of the gap in the expectations, this has been created. अगर आप अपना expectation employee expectations के साथ match करोगे, then believe me, there will not be any kind of this problem. And there will be many employers who are going to offer, who are going to give, or who are going to generate more employments. Reason is, today they do not have the confidence whether I'll get a manpower, the core skill, the physiotherapist, at this cost. अगर नहीं मिल रहा है तो he doesn't take a risk in more investments. If he is able to get better resources at better cost, then probably he may take even more risk in terms of opening up the multiple centers. placing the people, and then running a show. But today it is not being done because the gap in the expectations, right? Poor income generation. Yes, this is what what happens because it involves human efforts. So there is a limited income generation that is possible. And one more thing I want to add over here. See, in the service industry, what you can expect as a salary is about 15 to 25% of your contribution. When I'm saying your contribution is the revenue generation that you are going to give to your employer as such. But the same case, if it is a product industry, okay, it becomes even very less, even probably in between 1 to 2% of your this thing, the revenue generation that you do, because there are a lot of you can say the robotic activities, the automation that basically took place in generating the products faster. What you are going to do as a skilled source or as a core person of producing a product, you just probably need to observe, you probably need to have some kind of a settings, you probably need to see how the quality is coming in, kuch problem to nahi hai machines mein. Okay, so that is an automation that is being done in your product industries, and that is the reason their contribution or their salary for the contribution they are making is not even 1% or 2%. But at the same time, in the service industry, where the automation is very minimal, which we have done, I will tell you how we have done it. Okay, so the expectation, the salary expectation, or to your contribution is between 15 to 25%. If you do expect this kind of your salary for the revenue that you are going to generate, let me tell you, the industry is going to prosper, so as you as well. Okay, now, so when definitely you are not being offered for as per your expectation, so definitely your job satisfaction is not going to be there. Okay, I'm now coming back to the same slide, where because of the gap in expectation, what it is leading to, right? Then the poor family support, because in case if you, let's say, wanted to open a clinic, okay, then definitely the one question that your family asks is, what is the revenue that we are going to generate, and what is the income that we are going to generate, what is the profit that we are going to generate. Agar unko convincible or justifiable reasons to start a business nahi mila, तो वो वही बताएंगे, they will not be able to support you anymore. अगर आपने बोला कि ये करने के बाद 8 घंटा काम करने के बाद अगर 20,000 रुपीज ही आउटकम रहेगा, then वो बोलेंगे फिर 20,000 में के लिए इतना क्यों मगजमारी करना है, तो उससे अच्छा है why don't you go to the job, right? So there is a poor family support. So they will also expect, अगर हम लोग बिजनेस करते हैं तो at least there is a 1 lakh तो आए यार, 80,000 तो आए, right? So that is what a common behavior. Okay, and they are also not wrong in that. Fine. Now many people do what, they shift their career, okay, in spite of completing their bachelor's and probably the post graduation, or probably even the PhD, or probably whatever. Sorry guys. So what happens, ultimately income does come into picture, and when income does come into picture, so definitely people will see the other possibilities as well. ठीक है, किया तो है, but इसमें अगर income नहीं है तो मैं क्या करूंगी? So in 2009 2010, till 2000, I would say rather 14 15, there was a huge shift in the careers. Okay, there was huge shift. In fact, there were so many people who were changing their careers from this to, in case if you are a person who has finished your probably BPT or MPT prior to that, you would be able to relate this. But now people are realizing, and the people who have shifted their career, believe me guys, they are coming back. and we are giving them the opportunity, okay, to restart their career once again from our level 2 program. Of course, this program is going to help, and the next level program is also going to help, irrespective of any career gap, irrespective of any experience. Okay, everything will be going to be neutralized over there, and they are going to operate with the same kind of an efficiency, or rather higher efficiency, than if they would have practiced even the continuously as well. We have made that program so simplified. I would rather say it's an world's simplified, the most simplified program ever made in the history of physiotherapy. Okay, it is not simplest, it is a simplified. Please understand, there's a huge difference. Okay, complex karna bahut easy hai, simplification karna is a most difficult task, and only those people can make it who have a real life experience, practical experience. Anyhow, we'll deal that later. Fine. So mistrust between the employer employee, yeah, okay. So a mindset, अगर मैं 1,00,000 पूछ रहा हूँ यार, मेरे को 20,000 की बात कर रहा है यार. There was a company, a home care company, which launched probably in 2005, 2007 or something of that sort, wherein earlier they gave a huge salary, considering that yes, we are able to attract, rather you can say, the physiotherapist. And over a period, they've realized कि यार ये profit center नहीं है. In fact, we are not able to generate much revenue over here. Okay, and what they did is they started cutting down their costs. Okay, see, their strategy was simple. I don't want to get into details, but let me tell you only this. Okay, see, physiotherapy is an entry point wherein किसी को भी अगर कुछ problem रहेगा तो quickly they can get into that, and once they get into that home, they can always explore the other opportunities. Like किसी को diabetes है, किसी को BP है, किसी को A problem है, किसी को B problem है, किसी को C problem है, and their main focus was फिजियोथेरेपी से एंट्री लेंगे और अदर केटर भी करेंगे, so that we are able to take care of the entire family. And that's how they have the various services. Okay, एक फिजियोथेरेपी भी एक पार्ट था उसमें, and other parts were also there, and they had a strategy that let's enter through physiotherapy and we will take care of the entire other family problems, and we'll be able to generate more revenue. But क्या हो गया, enter किया, they are able to capture that market also, the other market also, but later they realized यार physiotherapy में इतना profit center नहीं हो रहा है. Okay, then they started cutting down the salary of an employees of a physiotherapy department. Okay, then there was a huge outrage that basically took place in I think 2010-11 में ऐसा कुछ तो था, ठीक है. So they were posting a lot of negative comments on that employer, saying कि ये employer ऐसे करते हैं, ये करते हैं, ये करते हैं, lot of outrage. Okay, but the employer was calm, and that's how businesses are run. Employer do not come in public. Okay, and that's how businesses also should be run. In fact, whatever the differences of opinion you have between an employer and employee, you both need to sort it out. Okay, and there's an HR definitely in between who's going to pitch in between the both of you and able to provide a resolution between as per the policy of a company. Okay, so you should not involve your family members, you should not involve go into public social medias and you start posting and doing 101 thing that what happens, the professional standards become very, very low, okay, among the entire community as such. Okay, so coming back to this this thing, so there is a mistrust that basically takes place between employer and employee, but employer understand what is the real problem. Employee may or may not, depending on the experience, but same time he is also not wrong because his expenses also needs to be met, right? So that's what I'll come to that point. One more these things which I want to enter, but let me finish up this. Okay, less investment. See, there are huge investors who wants to invest in physiotherapy because it has a huge opportunity, guys. Recently, even WHO also mentioned that, 1 in 3 people require physiotherapy, right? So just imagine with 130 crore people in India, the number of physiotherapists required. But do we have that many number of physiotherapists required actually practicing on field? No. Probably 4 to 5 lakh people be required. Hardly there are 25 to 30,000 people are actually practicing. So there is a huge gap. There is a huge requirement, but they are not able to put in huge money, or they are not able to enter into this market because of this, gap, and because of the poor manpower availability and the industry ready physiotherapists. Okay. Now coming to the last point, that is, increased malpractice. So if you are not going to be able to fill the vacancy, if you are not able to cater your services, obviously there is going to be a gap in the demand and supply ratio. Okay, demand is more, but the supply is less. So definitely the people would take the advantage of this vacuum that has been created by our own self. So it's most important. See, it's very easy to complain कि यहाँ पे quackery होता है, वहाँ पे ये होता है, यहाँ पे malpractice बहुत चलता है, सब कुछ ठीक है, everything is fine. But are you available to provide your services there? If you are not, then there is somebody who's at least doing it. Be it quackery, be it malpractice, should not be there. Neither I am promoting nor I am encouraging. But it is our responsibility that we should not allow them to enter when it is possible, only when you are going to be present in the market. आप as an audience रह के उनको मना करोगे तो बोलेंगे नहीं भैया दम है तो आप फील्ड में काम करो, then give your services, then आपके पास लोग आएंगे. आप नहीं हो, आप एज ऑडियंस हो, तो फील्ड में किसी को तो प्लेयर बोल के काम करना पड़ेगा ना, क्योंकि एक्चुअली फील्ड में काम करने से लोगों को रिजल्ट्स मिलता है, ऑडियंस में बैठ के रहने से नहीं. So it is very important that we know our responsibilities. With whatever the differences we have, that is fine. And over a period of a time, it gets resolved, not immediately. And most important is this should have been taken care in the academics part, or rather before you joining physiotherapy course. आपको पता होना चाहिए था before joining the course, or for that matter any industry में पहले काम ही ये होता है कि अगर मैं ये अपना करियर बनाऊंगा तो मुझे what is the income that I would be able to generate, whether I'm able to lead a lifestyle that probably I'm expecting, because everybody's this thing is different, lifestyle is different, everybody's expenses are different. Some people enter with passion, some people enter with an looking at an income, some people enter probably with their no availability, other options nahi hai, कुछ भी हो सकता है. But what is your reason to enter into this field? That is a choice you have made. So अगर आपने सर्वे नहीं किया, अगर आपने ये फाइंड आउट नहीं किया है बिफोर ज्वाइनिंग, then it is your problem. You cannot complain a physiotherapy field as such, or for that matter anybody else. You are, क्योंकि डिफरेंस किसको पड़ रहा है, आप भी खुद को पड़ रहा है ना. Are somebody coming, is there anybody who's going to come to you and resolving this problem? No, and that is not possible. So you are the whole and sole responsibility for creation of your destiny. So you should be clear, you should have made a research in the beginning, you should have asked people. But now agar kiya hua hai, then there are options, okay, how to even create a very good be it salary or be it income, okay, revenue, okay, through clinical practice, which I'm going to reveal in this slide and going forward in the level 2 program as well. Okay. So this is what is happening only because of the gap in the expectation, which I have done through the poll 1. So this is what is the conclusion. So be available for service to people to avoid a malpractice. And when you are available to service, what happens? Your your experiences builds. You are going to get an experience. Once you are going to get an experience, once you get that experience, then you can always take a better decision in terms of opening a clinic, probably in your own area, or probably in a city where you have settled, and or probably wherever it is possible. Okay. But if with the expectation itself you are not able to join, what happens? Everything gets, you can say, imbalanced. The entire ecosystem itself is going to be imbalanced. And definitely when you don't have an experience, so what happens? In spite of having your qualification, in spite of having probably the good knowledge in the beginning, you are going to start forgetting everything, because ultimately knowledge is nothing, it gets vaporized when it's not being used. So to begin with, start working, because nobody is going to take away the knowledge from you. The experience कोई भी नहीं लेके जाएगा आपका. See, आप 4 साल 6.5 साल अपने घर से दूर रह के कहीं पे भी जो है ना, आप ग्रेजुएशन या पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन ले तो लेते हो, बट 1 साल 2 साल वही अगर बाहर रह के, जहां पे क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस अच्छा हो रहा है, अगर वहां पे आप रह के काम करोगे, तो डोंट यू थिंक इट इज गोइंग टू पे यू इन अ लॉन्ग टर्म for the rest of your life? That is what you need to think. अगर मैंने 7 साल 6 साल 4 साल मैंने पढ़ाई किया हुआ है, और मैं कहीं रहता हूं जहां पे probably the physiotherapy college is not in your city, not in your district, not in your state, not in your probably that particular area, but you are probably going to some other state and getting that graduation certificate, graduation and post graduation. Okay, हाँ ले तो लिया, बट उससे डॉक्टर बनते हैं थोड़ी है. डॉक्टर कब बनोगे? डॉक्टर जब लोगों को सर्विस दोगे तब डॉक्टर बनोगे. दैट इज अ रियल, काम का डिग्री लेके फायदा नहीं है, नाम का डिग्री बहुत जरूरी है. सो नाम का डिग्री आप तभी पाओगे जब आप काम करोगे. when people start realizing your work, when people start giving you the credentials, so that's most important. So भले आप अगर 6 साल 7 साल बाहर रह के किया हुआ है और आपके गांव में अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है, तो कम आउट ऑफ दैट. Okay, work somewhere for 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, wherein you get a lot of sufficient um, clinical experience as such, and then you decide, okay, to settle down in same area, or in your own area, your own village, probably city or whatever, wherever, and start practice. It requires probably an year to settle down, but you are going to settle for the entire life, because every single day is going to add on to your experience. अगर आप इनिशियली हर्डल लेके बैठोगे कि मुझे 1 लाख तक जब तक सैलरी नहीं मिलेगा तो मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, अगर आपको नहीं मिला, देन डेफिनेटली आप 10,000 मांगने के लिए भी बाद में आपका कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं रहेगा, क्योंकि द मोमेंट इंटरव्यू स्टार्ट्स, यू आर एबल टू so you're not able to answer anything. When you're not able to answer, then you cannot even expect. Then what happens? We have seen, guys, we have seen many people. Okay, they are even 10 साल 15 साल उनका हो चुका है, they hardly have any experience, they do not have experience, they are ready to work even as an internship or observership. कुछ तो experience मिल जाए. So that situation should not come to you. Think on it. I'm giving a thought for your soul to think. So you need to think, and you need to take an conscious actions as such.